Hi, my name is Lorena, and if you're struggling with Maliketh in Elden Ring, then this is the video for you. Also, sorry, I usually don't sound like that. My voice is very hoarse. If you're still looking for a cheap cheese that might not even work anymore due to stuff getting nerfed, then you're gonna have to find another video. My most important rule number 1 that I teach in all of my guides is to be patient, keep your safe distance, and wait for a few selected specific attacks that are easily readable so you can safely attack the boss. Starting off with preparation. This goes without saying, put on your best armor, but of course keep it on medium roll. You can upgrade your weapon to the max at this point of the game. If your weapon isn't upgraded to the max, you can look up the locations of upgrade stones online. And of course, spirit ashes are useful on any boss. If you like, you can use them, especially Mimic tier still being the strongest one, I think. Just make sure you don't get too distracted by your summon and keep your focus up. Weaknesses. In both phases, Maliketh is resistant to bleed, also called hemorrhage. Also frostbite and holy damage. You can still bleed or frost him, but it just means that the bar takes longer to fill up to trigger the bleed or the frost effect. Unfortunately, he does not have one big weakness, but any other damage type than that works well. Now, introducing safe strategy for phase 1. Keep at a medium distance, just like this. Always go diagonally backwards or sideways, but do not run backwards too far away or he will keep hurling rocks at you, which is annoying and you can't attack him. Keep rolling backwards and sideways to keep the distance. And the only attacks you will go in and hit him on are the following. Number 1, he grabs into the ground like this. You can see the boulder he grabs and he rises onto his back legs, throwing a big boulder at you. As soon as you see him grab the ground, not drag his hand across like in other moves, he really grabs it. You immediately sprint towards him. If you get close enough to him, the boulder will go right over your head. It's only enough for one running attack, since he's always quick to go over into the next attack in phase 1 generally. This applies to everything that follows. After he finished his attack, make sure you get back and keep your distance again. Number 2, he slowly drags his hand through the ground, starting close to him and ending in a wide swipe. You have loads of time to react. If you roll into him here, you can get 1 or 2 free hits in. You can see this attack coming because he starts dragging his hand from behind him. Number 3, he rises up much higher on his hind legs and slams one hand into the ground after a delay. He uses this move to finish combos, but can also use it randomly. You can see this one coming by noting how much taller he becomes from rising onto his back legs. You want to either roll into him just as he comes down, or you can easily outspace by staying just a bit further away and then following up with an attack. Technically, there are more opportunities for you to be able to go in, but firstly, it would make the video too long. And secondly, I think they're more for advanced players who really want to learn the fight to perfection. And I want to keep it as simple as possible, so try to only go in on those attacks and play it extremely patiently. And lastly for phase 1, some more tips on dodging. To make it extra safe, run behind a pillar to heal, or even take your sweet time and buff up your weapon. He really gives you a lot of time if you hide. Usually you want to dodge his attacks backwards, except for the one where he throws little rocks at you. You're better off dodging forward or sideways for that one. This generally applies to most projectiles in this game. For this attack, just look at the ground to make sure you're not in the explosion zone. Then hide behind a pillar, because before the rocks have calmed down, he is likely to throw more rocks at you again, which is really hard to see with the other rocks still being in the way. This claw attack is really difficult to dodge. You can tell it's coming because as he slams his hand down, he drags visible claw marks across the air. If you're too far away from him, he will fling the claws in a cone shape towards you. Remember that this has a delay. You need to get used to that. If you're closer to him, he will do it immediately, and in my opinion, it's a little easier to dodge. The best tip I can give you is to dodge straight into the claws. You need some practice to get the timing right though. If you feel really confident, you can attack him after jumping over the claws or rolling through the claws. And I'd consider this kind of an advanced strategy, but if you feel confident, go ahead and try. Alright, moving over to phase 2. Now, you stay a bit further away from him than in phase 1, generally, but still not too far away. The main gameplay loop is going to be that you look out for just 1 or a maximum of 2 specific attacks, which will be the following. Number 1. He jumps into the air and lands on his sword. He does this one very frequently. Once you see him do that, get back a certain distance, like this. No need to roll or even sprint. If you get some practice and recognize the attack early, even just walking is enough. Also, you rather want to be a tiny bit further than too close, just to make sure. Because if you are too close, he will do an explosion and a backflip instead, which you cannot use to attack him. Alright, after he's jumped onto his sword, then as soon as he takes off into the air again, you run or even just walk towards him. This will put you right beneath or behind or below him, and I know it looks extremely scary and way too close and too risky, but trust me, it's really not. You can be super close to his body, much closer than you'd normally be comfortable with. This window is so large and you can get so many hits in. Just don't get too greedy and prepare for his next attack when you see him moving again. He often follows this up with a roar that luckily deals no damage, but catches me every time. Or a double spin attack. So whenever you see him do a horizontal spin, always press roll quickly 2 times in a row and you will dodge it with no issues. After you're done, get back at a safer distance again and wait for his next move. This attack hits so hard and it's impossible to dodge backwards. But luckily we have this amazing strategy. And number 2, when he jumps up and throws 3 projectiles. The rhythm to dodge those is easy to remember, and you can try to practice with counting out loud. I do it all the time. And after the 3rd one, he will do a large leap with a spin attack. Try to dodge the projectiles a little backwards or diagonally backwards or sideways to try and build as much distance as you can, since they're easier to react to when they travel for longer. I know usually you're supposed to dodge projectiles in, but it's just important to get close to him if you want to punish him afterwards. You want to be as far away from him as you can, because that will put you closest to him after he lands. If you then roll the last hit with him into the direction where he's going, you'll be close enough to get a few hits in when he lands. And that is it. This is really all you need to beat him in phase 2. And lastly, some more help with dodging other attacks. When he jumps onto a pillar and then jumps away and his sword flashes white, he will then land on his sword and immediately follow it up with a shockwave. Roll when he lands, and then to dodge the shockwave, just immediately roll again right after, so spam rolling. He also has this very same shockwave effect after jumping up and doing only 2 projectiles instead of 3. He will then land again and do the shockwave thing, and again, roll 2 times in a row to dodge it. And lastly, it is very tempting to hide behind a pillar when he shoots the projectiles. But there's an issue with that. The final spin after the 3 shots will clip through the pillar and hit you. So it's so important that you keep him in clear sight, because if the pillar's in the way, there's no way you can see his spin coming and you'll get a nasty surprise. Generally though, still hiding behind a pillar to heal works great and is safe. And lastly, remember, of course, nothing can replace the practice that you need to do to get used to some of the attacks and how to dodge them better. Thank you so much for watching, and if I helped you, please subscribe to not miss out on any of my other guides. Catch me live on Twitch, I'll see you in the next video, and always remember, get good!